learned about the chromosomal abnormalities. In addition, we have also learned that if there are genes in which mutations has occurred, then also it may lead to certain genetic disorders or diseases. So today let us learn about such diseases. Okay, so and of course of the diseases which are caused by mutation in the single gene. If suppose there is some problem with the single gene, then such diseases will be called as monogenic disorders. Okay, so like that, suppose mutations occur in any single gene into a defective gene, such disorders are called as monogenic disorders. Suppose a single gene only is affected, fine. So like that, if you go to see, there are approximately 4,000 different types of disorder just because of the alteration in the sequencing of the genes, or only a single gene. Okay, around 4,000 different known diseases are there. Okay, fine. So due to these abnormal genes, their products are either produced in insufficient quantity or maybe not at all. Okay, the products means the characters or the traits which they are going to express, or the proteins which a gene is going to form will not be formed in a sufficient quantity, or if it is formed, if it is formed, it will be in a lesser quantity, or sometimes it may not be formed at all. And because of this, of course, there will be some, suppose these proteins are not formed, there will be some abnormality, fine. So it causes some abnormal metabolism that may lead to either the death of the person at a tender age, or it may have this disease till its entire life. Okay, so examples of some of the diseases which are due to monogenic disorder are like Hutchinson's disease, okay, Tay-Sachs disease. You need not know all these diseases. This you have to just remember some of the examples, and I'm going to show some pictures also of these diseases. You may not know what are the symptoms of all these diseases. Now, in monogenic disorders, we are going to learn only 2 monogenic disorders today. Okay, so some examples are Hutchinson's disease, Tay-Sachs disease, galactosemia, then phenylketonuria, also called as PKU in short, then sickle cell anemia, which you are going to study in detail today, cystic fibrosis. You might have seen that movie, last movie of this one who died, Rajput, right? What is this? Sushant Singh Rajput's one movie is their last movie. In that girl is suffering from cystic fibrosis. Then albinism, okay, albinism, hemophilia, night blindness, all these are caused due to monogenic disorders, due to mutation in the single gene. So here are some of the pictures of those diseases. This is the Hutchinson's disease. This disease is called as Hutchinson's disease, wherein a child looks like very elderly at a young age. Fine. Then this is galactosemia, because suppose the milk is taken by the baby, it may cause because there is one acid called as glutamic acid, which is not formed in these patients. When if suppose a baby takes the milk, its liver, his kidney will get spoiled. That disease is called as galactosemia. Then we have Tay-Sachs disease. Then there is this condition is called as cystic fibrosis, which is there in that movie. Okay, then albinism, where the person lacks melanin in the body, and therefore the full body looks white, okay, pale. Then this is the condition when sickle cell anemia, which you're going to learn in detail today, both these albinism and sickle cell anemia. And then this is this is the condition called as phenylketonuria, then and night blindness. That means where a person cannot see during the night time. Okay, that is called as night blindness. Then let's study the first one, that is albinism. Albinism or albino means nothing but white skin. Okay, these people, we normal human beings have a pigment, black or brown pigment called as melanin. Okay, so this is not there in the case of albino people or albinic people. Okay, they are also called as albino, and this disease is called as albinism. This is a genetic disorder. Our eyes, our skin, okay, our eyes or skin, hair color is due to the brown pigment called as melanin. Now in this disease, where the people are suffering from albinism, they do not produce melanin. They do not produce melanin, and therefore their skin is white. It is not because they are fair and all. They are not fair. They are not having a brown pigment called as melanin, and because of that their skin looks like this. So the skin becomes pale, hairs become white, okay, eyes are usually pink. The color of the eyes is also, looks dangerous. You can see in your textbook on page number 190, wherein the photograph of a small child is given with pink eyes. Okay, they have pink eyes due to absence of the pigment even in the retina inside and on the sclera. Is that clear? So that is why this disease is called as albinism, because they lack the pigment. Remember, they lack the pigment, brown pigment called as melanin. So you should be very lucky, because all of my students have lot of melanin, and it is good to protect your skin even from the ultraviolet rays of the sun. Okay, so don't think that you're dark or so sometimes you feel bad, but it is good that melanin protects your skin. Whereas these children or these people who have albinism, suffering from albinism, they are prone to skin diseases mostly. Why? Because they cannot go in the hot sun outside. Fine. Why? Because they can get skin cancer and all. Okay, fine. So this disease, though they look, pale white, okay, they are not white. They lack the pigment called as melanin. Remember this. Next is, a very dreadful disease called as the sickle cell anemia. Now, what is that sickle cell anemia? Anemia, you might have heard that the person consists of the low hemoglobin content, or the oxygen level of these people goes down, and because of that they feel all the time tired. That is called as anemia. Okay, that condition is called as anemia. Now, what is sickle cell anemia? Sickle cell anemia is the one wherein, what is that? The cell structure is the red blood cells become sickle shape. So we'll discuss that little later. Now suppose why this is happening. Even minor changes in the molecular structure of the proteins, or maybe the DNA, leads to the diseases or the disorders. So here the DNA or some minute changes in the DNA or the proteins may lead to diseases. One of them is sickle cell anemia, because here in the protein structure there is a problem. Let's see what is that problem in protein structure. Okay, now in this case what is happening is that the protein is made up of amino acids. Now here the normal hemoglobin, okay, hemoglobin we are talking about now, the red blood cells, and red blood cells contains a pigment, red pigment called as hemoglobin, okay, because of which the blood is red in color. Okay, now normal hemoglobin, that means the people who are not suffering from sickle cell anemia, they are called a normal. So the normal hemoglobin pigment has amino acid, sixth amino acid called as glutamic acid. Okay, they have a acid called as amino acid called as glutamic acid. Now this glutamic acid in the case of sickle cell anemia is being replaced by another amino acid called as valine. You can see L-valine. Okay, so it is, since it is replaced, this amino acid in the proteins is replaced, because of this those persons are suffering from sickle cell anemia. So you can see it is a minor change, very minor. A small amino acid has been replaced, and because of that these people have to suffer a lot. You will understand how they are suffering when we are learning about the symptoms of this disease. Now normal hemoglobin has glutamic acid as the sixth amino acid in its molecular structure. However, if it is replaced by the valine, the shape or the structure of the hemoglobin molecule change, and because of this the blood cells, that is the red blood cells shape also changes. Okay, normal red blood cell has a biconcave shape. Okay, biconcave shape, you can see the normal cells are spherical in nature, and they are biconcave, means concave on both the sides. Because of this, they can move inside the arteries very nicely. In the blood vessels, they can move without any obstructions. But what will happen if the shape of the blood cell changes, if they are not round? Okay, if they are sickle shaped, or like chandra, like half crescent moon, if the structure is like that, don't you think so they will collide with each other and they will clump at one place? Yes, this is the same thing what is happening here. Now, since the normal hemoglobin has biconcave type of normal blood has biconcave type of cells, okay, they can easily move because they are circular in nature, and therefore they can easily flow inside. Whereas when the shape of the cell will change, of course there will be obstruction on the pathway. Okay, so due to this, erythrocytes is a scientific name for the red blood cells, okay, are normally biconcave, become sickle shape. You have seen a sickle, correct, which is used for cutting down grass and all, that is called as sickle. So since the shape of these cells become sickle shaped, the disease name is also derived from this, that is called as sickle cell anemia. Then this condition is called as sickle cell anemia. Now, when anemic patients have less of the hemoglobin content, and therefore what happens, the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood decreases. Since they become anemic, since the number of the hemoglobin content is only less, then what will happen, the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood will also decrease. And because of this, oxygen is very important for breaking down of glucose and all, right? So which releases energy. If it is not there, then energy will not be there, and energy is not there, that means the person will be always feeling tired. Okay, so that is anemia. Okay, now in this condition, what happens is that clumping and thereby destruction of the erythrocyte occurs most often. You can see how normal blood cell can move very easily without any obstruction. But if it is sickle shape, you can see all of them have clumped together because of its shape. And because of this, what happens, they get destroyed most often. Okay, and suppose these are destroyed, of course the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood will decrease. Okay, and as a result, blood vessels are obstructed in the circulatory system, that means the one which carries blood to the entire body. Okay, if blood is not reaching to the different organs, all the different organs will get affected. Brain will get affected, lungs will get affected, respiration will not occur normally, kidneys will get affected. Okay, all these different organs which are very important for carrying out different life processes, everything will get damaged because of just one disease. One cell or one replacing one of the amino acid in the protein, that is glutamic acid, is replaced just because of that valine. Okay, everything changes in the body. Okay, so sickle cell anemia is therefore is a hereditary disease. Hereditary disease, why we are learning? Because heredity we are learning right now, correct? So why we are studying sickle cell anemia? Because it is one of the hereditary disease. And when it occurs due to changes in the genes during conception. Conception means what? During reproduction. Now let's learn why sickle cell anemia is called as hereditary disease. Okay, now suppose if the father and the mother are both affected by sickle cell anemia, or if they are carriers of this disorder, then their offsprings are likely to suffer from this disease. Now what does this mean? Suppose out of any of the parent, if any of the parent is a sufferer means if one of them is suffering from sickle cell anemia, or one of them is the carrier of this disease. Carrier means the person may have the genes for sickle cell anemia but may not show the disorder. If it is not shown in their generation, there are lot of possibilities that they might carry, the one who is carrying the gene for sickle cell anemia will be giving to the next generation. That is why even if the person who is a sufferer and a carrier can give this disease to their offsprings. So we shall study now how it is happening. Okay. So hence, therefore, since because it is, during conception this disease is occurring, or this offspring gets this disease, marriages between the persons who are carriers of or suffering from sickle cell anemia should be avoided. And now you will understand why I am saying that it is a dreadful disease. You will understand when you learn about the symptoms of this disease. Let us see now what are the symptoms. Okay, so there are two types of persons. First of all, affected by sickle cell anemia. The one who is a carrier will be designated with the the genotype will be AS. Okay, so A is for the normal and S is for the sufferer. And sufferer from sickle cell anemia shows homozygous condition of SS, homozygous sickle cell. Whereas sickle cell anemia who is a carrier is a heterozygous sickle cell anemia person. Is that clear? This you have to remember. Okay, carrier means the one who carries the genes but may not show, may not have this disorder. But a sufferer will definitely have, because sufferer here is a dominant character. Okay, fine. Now, symptoms of sickle cell anemia. Let's see now what are the symptoms. Look at this baby, how it looks like. Okay, now symptoms, if you see, now you will find that there are swelling of the hands. Okay, you will find that the hands are swollen of a baby. If you see, the hands are swollen. Legs, pain in the joints. Okay, wherever there are joints, there will be pain in the leg. Then even several general body ache will be there. That means full body ache also will be there. Then most of the time frequent cold and cough will be there. Constant low grade fever will be there. Exhaustion. Now since it is anemia, okay, sickle cell anemia, first of all this condition will be there. Anemic patients have this condition of exhaustion, means they are very weak. Okay, and they, because of weakness, their face is also pale, and low hemoglobin content. And low hemoglobin content, you mean that that means low oxygen level. And because of this, the person is always tired. You see, so many things are there in that person. So all the time, throughout his life, his or her life, that person will be suffering from all these things. That is pains in the joints, swollen hands, okay, severe body ache will be there, frequent cold and cough will be there, constant low grade fever, exhaustion, all the time the face will be pale, and low hemoglobin content. Now let's see how it can get transmitted by crossing. You have learned about a dihybrid cross of the Mendel and monohybrid cross of the Mendel. So let's see, by having this monohybrid cross, what can be, how many, what can be the percentage of the offspring who may get, who may have the risk of having this disease. Okay, so let's study that now. So now let's learn by finding out due to crossing. Okay, now consider that AA stands for a normal person. A normal person. AA stands for normal person, whereas AS is a carrier of the disease, whereas SS is called as sufferer of the disease. Now let's see what are the different possibilities of crossing, and then what type of offsprings can be produced. Suppose if the person is a normal human being, okay, normal person without having the disease. Okay, let's see when we cross, that is the normal person, male and female, what are the possibilities? You know that the gametes of AA and AA will be A or and A and A. Okay, so therefore there are four possibilities here. That is, four possibilities in the sense four offsprings will be formed of only one possibility. That is, when we cross this and this, we are getting A. Okay, then when we take this gamete and this gamete, we are again getting A. Okay, then when we take this gamete and this gamete, we are getting A. And when we are having this gamete and this gamete, we are getting capital A. That means if you see here, all the human beings are normal. That means 100% are normal when the male, both father and the mother are normal in condition. Fine. So, in this case, there is no chance for anyone to get the disease. Now, let's see the second combination here. Second combination is a normal person and a carrier. Okay, a normal getting married with the carrier. What are the different possibilities here? So, here you can see in this picture, okay, let me write here, that is A and AS. If one of the parent, whether it is father or mother, doesn't matter, if any one of them is a carrier and the other is normal, what the possibilities? So possibilities are A and A, that is AA, a normal person, then A and S, carrier, whereas this A and this A is normal again, and this A and S is a sufferer. So here if you see here, two are normal and two are carriers. So here in this case what happens is 50%, okay, 50% of the offspring or progeny, 50% of the progeny are normal, okay, and 50% are carriers. Fine. So this is the next condition. What other conditions we can have? We can have, okay, when one is a normal person and the other is a sufferer. Let's see in that case what can happen. If one is the normal person completely and the other is sufferer, whether it is a male or female doesn't matter, what type of combinations we can get. Okay, so here you can see we can have a combination such as A and S, then again A and S, A and this S, and this A and this S. We are getting all 100%, okay, 100% progeny or all progeny are carriers of the disease, okay, carriers of the disease. If one of them is sufferer and the other is a normal person, then there are 100% progeny will be carrier of the disease sickle cell anemia. They may not show the symptoms, but they will carry the gene for sickle cell anemia. They will be carrying a gene for sickle cell anemia, so that when crossing will be done next time, okay, their progeny, okay, let us now learn about when we are having both are carriers of the disease, what type of progeny we can get. Now you have learned that when a normal progeny is there, all are normal, 100% are normal people. Then if one of them is a normal person, the other is a carrier of the disease, we have seen that 50% are normal and 50% are carriers. Then we have seen that if one of the parent is normal and the other parent is a sufferer, then all progeny will have one gene for the carrier for the sickle cell anemia, but they will not show the disorder, okay, they will not show the disorder, but they carry this along with them, carry the gene for sickle cell anemia, which may be expressed in the next generation. Suppose now we cross between these two, Okay, V cross between these two when they are both of them are carriers, what can be the options? So here you see that 100% all progeny will be carrier if one of the parent is normal, the other is sufferer. Let's see the other combination, that is wherein both of the parents are carrier of the disease, that is A, S and A, S. Both of them are carriers. What type of progeny we can get? We can get A and A, that means normal. We can get A and S, that is a carrier. We can get A and A, S and A or A and S. Okay, and last one is S and S. That means 25%, if you see 25% will be normal, then 50% will be carriers, and 25% will be sufferer. Okay, 25% will be sufferer. Okay, so hence even if it is not expressed here in this generation, it may be expressed in the next generation. 50%, 50% will be carriers again. One of them might be a normal person, but 25%, okay, 25 will be normal, but 25% chances are there that the person may have the sickle cell anemia. So this is the fourth condition. Now let's see now the fifth condition, that is one is a carrier and the other is a sufferer. When one is a carrier and the other is a sufferer, what type of combinations we can get? One is a carrier and the other is a sufferer. Let's see now what type of progeny they produce. So carrier, let's see now, AS, then we are getting again, this AS, then S and S, and again S and S. So here you can see that 50% are carriers, and 50% are sufferers. Okay, you can see here 50% are carriers and 50% are sufferers when one of the parent is a carrier and the other parent is a sufferer. Fine. Only last combination is left, that is all sufferers. All sufferers means, of course, all will be sufferers only, correct? So 100% will be sufferers. So SS, SS, we can have only SS. We can again have SS, again have SS, and again have SS. All the progeny will be sufferers of since both the parents are sufferers. That is why it is advised, to avoid marriages between either a carrier and a sufferer, or carrier and a normal, or sufferer and a normal. Any of this combination, there will be at least one of them can be a carrier or a sufferer. So it is a very dreadful, since it is very dreadful disease, it has to be, it has to be stopped before marriage only. The blood needs to be checked. Okay. Now let's continue little further. What can be the diagnosis? How sickle cell anemia can be tested or can be found? Let's see now how diagnosis of this disease can be done, how it can be tested to find out whether a person is suffering from sickle cell anemia or not. So there is a test called as solubility test. Okay, under the National Health Mission scheme, the solubility test for diagnosis of sickle cell anemia is available at all district hospital. That means here it is tested whether the cells are getting dissolved or not, in the plasma, the blood plasma, the blood cells are getting solubilized or not, that is tested. If suppose this gets solubilized, then it is a normal person, but if doesn't get, then the person may be a carrier, and it depends upon the concentration of the formation of the liquid will be very thick if the person is a sufferer or a carrier, then in a lesser quantity, but if it is sufferer, then it will be in a more condition, whereas the normal blood, it will get solubilized. Okay, so that is called as a solubility test. Okay, you need not know this, you just have to remember what test is done for for the sickle cell anemia. Another, once it is diagnosed that there is a presence of carrier gene in that blood, then to confirm whether really a person is suffering or not, there is another confirmatory test called as electrophoresis, wherein it is done in the gel, electrophoresis gel. So this you may not know because it is at a higher level, doctors and all do this. Okay, so this technique is called as a confirmatory test, a diagnostic test for the sickle cell anemia. So one, to just diagnose is solubility test, and to confirm is electrophoresis. Fine. Now, what are the remedies for this disease? What can be the remedy? A remedy is only one, that you can see the person, the child's hand who is suffering from this disease. You can see how swollen it is. You can imagine how painful it must be for that child, right? So, what are the remedies for this? This disease is spread in only one way, that is during the reproduction. Hence, marriages, husband and wife should get their blood examined before marriage. Okay, before they are getting married, husband and wife to be, okay, has to test their blood whether there is presence of a carrier or maybe a person is a sufferer, for this to avoid their child or offspring to suffer from this disease. That is why this is the only remedy for that. That is, prevention is better than cure, we say. So prevention only can save the child of the couple later on. Okay, a carrier or the disease spread only in one way, that is reproduction. Hence, husband and wife should get the blood examined either before marriage or even after it. And if after they come to know, even after the marriage, if they realize that there is a problem with them, then what should they do? They should not go for any child. Instead, they can adopt a child. Okay, a carrier or a sufferer should avoid marriage with another carrier or a sufferer. And second, a person suffering from sickle cell anemia should take a tablet of folic acid daily, because it's required for the hemoglobin. Okay, so this is the only remedy for the sickle cell anemia, that is avoid marriage between a carrier and a sufferer, or a carrier and a normal person, whatever. You have seen now all the different combinations, what can happen if even if a person is a carrier. Okay, I hope so you have understood this two monogenic disorders, that is albinism and sickle cell anemia. Please read the lesson and learn all the symptoms, remedies, what are the causes of it, everything. Is that clear? So thank you, dear students. So last part of the lesson is remaining, that is polygenic disorder, that you will learn in the next video, polygenic as well as the mitochondrial disorder. So thank you, dear students.